Greetings my lovelies, and thank you for stopping by the circle today. This week I will be reviewing The Huntress by Quinn. So let's get started. Now, Quinn is an author that I am quite familiar with. I have read several of her other books before. I read her Daughters of Rome and Mistress of Rome books and absolutely loved them. Did not care so much for the Empress of Seven Hills, but it was interesting enough to where that I completed the entire series. Although the one with the bourgeois people, yeah, I couldn't read that one. I read the first book and was like, oh my god, no. So I have like a mixed feelings about her, but I trust her enough that if I see her name plastered onto it, I will at least check it out. This book takes place after the Second World War has completed and everyone is home and is kind of like starting to settle down into their new lives. Which is kind of interesting because you really don't ever read about the after effects and people just wanting to forget the horrors that they have lived through to just pretend to be normal. But for some people, that's never gonna happen. As in the case of one of the main characters, Anne. Anne's brother died at the hands of a high-ranking Nazi official's mistress, wife, lover. It's never really clearly stated, and he cannot accept it until he's brought her to justice. Now, during the war, he was a journalist which traveled along with the troops and other high-ranking officials, telling basically the truth of war. He was a wartime journalist. That's the word I'm looking for. But now what he is doing is he is a private investigator who is tracking down these high-ranking Nazi officials who have created new identities for themselves and have hidden into the masses. Alongside him is a young American named Tony of ambiguous ethnicity. It seems like he's like a weird hodgepodge, but he's a linguist, so he's able to communicate with the vast majority of people, and apparently he's a womanizer, because what else can an American be? The other character, the main character in this story, is Jordan McBride, and we start off reading about her. Now, she's a young 19, 20-something female who has a real passion for photojournalism. That's really what she wants to do, but she's allowing the expectations of everyone else around her to dictate her life. So that means marrying the guy that she's been dating with throughout high school and not really going off to college, taking over her father's antique business. She has some pushback, but she also understands her place a little bit and just gives into the trappings until her father remarries seemingly sweet young widow named Annalise, but she ends up calling herself Anne, and who has a young daughter named Ruth. At first, Jordan is ecstatic and happy, and so she starts taking photos of her father with his new wife and her new little sister, but then she catches something odd in her stepmother's eyes that sends chills down her spine and sends her investigating her new stepmother. The third main character in this story, and the main reason why I picked this book up, other than it being written by Quinn, is Nina, who is an ex-night witch. Now, for those of you who do not know, the Night Witches were an elite bomber unit in World War II, completely made up of women, thus the witches aspect. Now, the planes that they were given were absolutely fucking shitty. I mean, these things you could hear 6,000 miles away. But what they did during their night runs is as they were coming over the encampments of where the German soldiers were at, they would cut their engines and basically go into a controlled dive. And once they reached where they needed to go, they would level out, drop their payloads, and then shoot back on, turning their engines back on as they went. If that's not fucking badass, I don't know what is. Now, Nina's storyline is a little bit different from the others because it's not set in the present moment. Hers starts when she is very young in a small backwater village in the middle of Siberia. And it's basically her journey to become a night witch when she ends up leaving and comes across the Huntress. And that's pretty much where I'm gonna stop because I don't want to give any more details away because I know how some people feel about spoilers. All in all, this book is a mixed bag for me. The beginning was very, very slow, and I really was seriously thinking about putting it away until a coworker noticed I was reading it and mentioned that after a point it did pick up fairly quickly. Well, she was true, but it was interesting, but I was not emotionally invested in any of the characters or their story arc. I really didn't care if they caught the Nazi lady or not, but it was an enjoyable read, so I highly recommend that you check it out for your own and formulate your own opinion. So if you've read this book or anything else by Kate Quinn, please comment down below and let me know. And that is all that I have for you. I will see you next Wednesday. Bye!